Hi, so before I get started with the video, I wanted to talk about the drawing a little bit and also apologize in advance if there's any background noise. Currently, my dryer is on and there's nothing I can do about that. So, this drawing was inspired by a speed paint that starrychkis made, and in her video, she drew slashers as schoolgirls, and I really like that idea, so I drew something similar to it. And her video will be in the description or in that little icon thingy that's on the side. I don't know what it's called, but as you can see, I was originally going to this traditionally, but I was rushing through because my phone was running out of memory and that's what I was using to record. So I rushed, it looked ugly, and decided to make a digital version of it instead. So I guess in a way, the illustration was saved. I don't know. And now with the video. As a child, and even to this day, I loved horror slasher films. Not because I was possessed or a creepy child, well, maybe I was, but it was something I bonded over with my dad. As a child, I didn't get to see my dad a lot. This isn't because my parents were separated or anything like that, but because my dad was at work most of the day, from early in the morning to late at night. He wasn't a workaholic or anything like that. My dad just wanted to make enough money to pay for basic things, basically make ends meet, and have a little bit of cash left over in case we wanted something. The only times I ever got to see him as a result from him working all day were on the weekends, since on the weekdays I would already be asleep by the time he got home. Back back in the early 2000s, back in the early 2000s, there were these two channels, Estrella TV and another channel in Spanish. I know that it wasn't Univision. It was another channel. Maybe it was Telemundo. I'm not really sure. But the point is, back in the early 2000s, there were these two channels that would play movies on the weekends. Estrella TV would play Mexican movies, and the other one would play licensed movies that were translated into Spanish. Many of these movies were old and consisted of action movies with some horror films sparkled in there. And just because I watched these films didn't mean I would always understand them. Yeah, Jackie Chan running away from, I don't know, a mob of people and jumping around buildings is fun and whatnot, but it wasn't something I understood. I was like, that's interesting, but why is he running? Now that I'm older, I can tell younger me, it's gangs, the government, and secret groups. Also, don't trust them. Yeah. But for some reason, I would understand horror movies, which kind of doesn't make sense now that I think of it. But technically, the first horror film that I ever watched was Child's Play. And I think we still own it on VHS. God, my age is showing. Yeah, it really is. And around the age of 4 is when I first watched it, I think. Yeah, I was around the age of 4. And that movie would scare me a lot. Not because of what was going on in the film. Well, actually it was. But what made me even more scared of it was that around that time, I used to have a doll that was around 2 to 3 feet tall. And considering that I was a 4-year-old, I was pretty small. So the doll was around my height, maybe. And the things that I would go on in Child's Play, I found them more plausible to happen with that doll than the random Barbies I had because, oh, this doll is literally my size. If it wanted to kill me, it could. So every time I would watch Child's Play, that doll would spend the night in my closet or out of my room because I did not want to die. I was trying to live, and getting killed by a doll was not a way I wanted to leave this world. And it still isn't. Just imagine being killed by a doll. It's like, damn, out of all the things, a doll is what ended this life for me. I don't know, I feel like this is weird. Yeah. As for the other channel, yeah, as for Estrella TV, I remember that a lot of the horror films, I guess, were based off of vampires. Not that it's weird or anything, but a lot of the horror films that they would play were centered around vampires. Maybe it was different films or like whatever, it was the same film, but every time I would watch it, it was just different parts of the film, and I grew up thinking it was different films. Conspiracy, maybe. Hotel Trivago. And yes, first bad joke into this. How nice, you can see my personality now. I'm joking, and yeah, basically I love horror movies because it's something that I grew up with and bonded over with my dad, who was someone that I didn't grow up seeing a lot. Like, yeah, he was there for me and involved in my life. It's just that we didn't spend a lot of time together because of his job, which take that as you will, but you know, a lot of the times parents have to sacrifice things just so they could, like, you know, be with their kids. Well, not be with their kids, but just so they can give their kids something that they didn't have growing up, which was kind of the case with my parents. But yeah, this audio is now coming to a closing, and that's it, I guess. Up until next time, bye, and have a good day, and enjoy the silence.